Hi everyone! So it has been a minute, right? It's been some time since I sat down and spoke to you, so I'm sorry that it's been such a long time. I wanted to make this video because I have missed you, I've missed doing videos, I've missed YouTube, so I'm sorry it's been so long, and I'm really excited to share this update with you and to let you know what's been going on and what's been stopping me from producing videos, although that is down to me and my time, but anyway. So big update for you. So for the past year, I have been training to become a yoga teacher, and I have now qualified, and I'm really excited. And it's been one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. I think I kind of saw it and I thought, oh yeah, I'll train to be a yoga teacher, and I'm obviously working full time, and I thought, you know, with the whole like COVID thing, I haven't used my annual leave days, so I thought, oh, you know, I'll use that and I can put that towards the course and everything, and I did that, but I didn't quite anticipate how much work and the emotional drain it would be. But I mean, it's been magic. It's been one of the best things I've ever done, 100%, so I'd highly recommend it. But it certainly took a lot more time, blood, sweat and tears than I could have ever imagined in a million years. But I'm now officially a trained yoga teacher, so I'm really excited to share that with you. So what this means for you is that I'm going to start putting out some yoga videos on my channel. So I'm going to start sharing with you what I've learned, and I've never loved yoga more than this moment. I had no idea that I just scratched the very tip of the tip of the tip of the iceberg, and that underneath there was this whole world of things, and I just had no idea really before what yoga was and what it could do. And even now that I'm a teacher, it doesn't mean that I fully understand even 2% of it. There's so much to learn, there's so much that is yoga, you know, it's absolutely, I mean, wow. So I'm really excited to be able to share at least some of that physical and spiritual and mental aspect with you by doing some sessions. So I just recorded a session the other day, and I'm going to be putting that out soon, which is just like a twisty flow, so working into like triangle pose. So yeah, I'm going to be bringing those to you. Let me know what you think, if that's useful. There's so many people doing yoga on YouTube, I don't even know, but maybe you'll like it, so we'll see. So I'm going to be bringing that to you so you can check it out, and really, I just want to make yoga accessible to everyone because it is a transformational life tool. It's so much more than just a downward facing dog, you know. Yoga is a state of united consciousness, of being totally at one with your higher self, and for recognizing that you're just this magical being in a human suit and all this. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's just amazing. So obviously I can't squish all of that into a 1 hour class, but I'm going to try my best to bring you some of the magic that I've learned about, and yeah, hopefully it's something that you can do and explore in your own home. So that's the first big update. So because I have been doing that, and that has obviously been taking up a lot of any spare time that I had has been going towards that, and I'm so glad that I did it because, oh my god, it's something that I would have never done if I'd have known what I was undertaking. But it's been awesome, I love it. So yes, that has been incredible. So as well as that, I guess I just wanted to give you an update on what else is happening, what else is going on. I have been going through like a transition with my diet, with the vitamins and supplements that I'm taking. I had a really weird spell of like having really dry scalp and hair and having like really terrible dandruff, which may or may not be interesting to you. But I've changed all my products now to like Tropic products, so I'm going to do a separate video on that and talk about like the vitamins and stuff that I'm taking, because they've slightly changed since my other videos. Obviously 100% plant-based, 100% vegan, so it's important really to talk about those supplements and those vitamins, and it's something that I'm really passionate about, that whole holistic approach to health, not just the movement that we do with our bodies, but also what we're putting in our bodies physically, mentally, spiritually. So I'll do another update on that soon. And then I also wanted to talk about the books that I'm reading at the moment, because I think some of you will find this really, really interesting. And again, I'm going to do, I've had a top 10 books video planned for a very long time, and I've not got around to filming it, so I want to do that for you and make sure I bring that to you, because some of these books have been really transformational in my life, and I want to be able to share that with you. But for now, I wanted to share with you this book. So this book is Paths to God, Living the Bhagavad Gita, and it's by the incredible Ram Dass, who is obviously, I'm sure many of you know who he is. Ram Dass is, he used to be a Harvard professor, and then he basically just sacked that all off and went to be, well, a true yogi really, and he went to kind of study and went over to India and went all over the world, and yeah, he's awesome. Many of you will know him. He's one of our kind of spiritual leaders of the 21st century. So yeah, he's incredible. And so this book is amazing. So obviously I got into the Bhagavad Gita doing my yoga studies and kind of again realized that it wasn't just some random book and that it was connected to yoga and to so many different spiritual elements. And so this book really appealed to me and I've really enjoyed this. I'm only about halfway through, but I wanted to share it with you because it's something that I would highly recommend. If you are someone who's into yoga or going through yoga training, buy this book because it's incredible. But even if you're not, this is just a really beautiful, accessible text about what the Bhagavad Gita actually is, how we can apply it to our lives, and kind of unpicking the spiritual principles that lie underneath. And parts of it are really kind of heavy and deep, like 100%, but that's what a spiritual kind of book normally is like. But Ram has this way of just making it really hilarious and totally just accessible and interesting because he tells the story of his life and gives examples of his experiences woven throughout, and it brings these concepts to life. And it's just a really beautiful book. I've really enjoyed it, and I think often with these kind of more spiritual heavy texts it can be, or at least for me, I find it quite hard to get into them and read them. I love in my spare time to read like fantasy fiction. That's like my thing. I love anything fantasy fiction. You can't quite see my shelves, I don't think, in frame, but it's just filled with things like that. But I love obviously reading books like this as well. But this is just, it's a really beautiful resource, and it's the kind of book that you can just pick up and open the page and you can find something really beautiful within there and something that's really useful. And it's got a lot of Sanskrit words in it, Sanskrit terms, and it's got like a little index at the back which explains it. So it's really just an accessible text. I think often this kind of thing is just so highfalutin and like, oh, you don't know what brahmacharya is and you don't know what Ayurveda, and it's like, you know, you kind of get like, you know, all like poncy about it. This is really down to earth, accessible, interesting, funny, and it's just a great book. So I'd highly recommend it. If you're into Ram, if you're into yoga, if you're into figuring out what on earth we're doing here in these human suits, I would recommend this book. It's really beautiful. So just reading from what it is at the back, it's you know, the Hindu text, the Bhagavad Gita, it has been called the ultimate instruction manual for living a spiritual life. And so he really just dives into the different chapters, the different examples that are used in the Bhagavad Gita, and brings that to life with his experience. And so yeah, it's a really beautiful book. So that's one of the first things that I'm reading right now. Then the other one that I've got into, I have a terrible habit of starting like 14 different books at once, and I always do it and I can't stop myself. The other one I'm reading is this book, In the House of the Moon, which my mom bought me. I know that my mom will be watching this video, so there you go, Mom. I've given you credit for this. And she found this listening to a podcast with Christine Northrup, who is awesome. If you don't know who that is, Google her. Be prepared to fall down an epic rabbit hole. So she does a lot of like women empowerment and women's health and things like that, and she's like a powerhouse. She's really fucking cool. And so they spoke about this book on the podcast, so my mom bought me a copy, and since I started reading it, I haven't put it down. It's something I'm really into at the moment in terms of like women's empowerment. I just led my first women's circle with a friend, and I found the experience really beautiful. Just being able to hold space for other females and other women in that way was really amazing. So this is totally up my alley, so my mom was obviously picking up on those vibes, and that's why she got me the book. But it's all really about, how would I explain this book? A holistic approach to health. And what I love about it, and what's really transformed my view, is that I swing between extremes of like really hating Western medicine and loving like Eastern holistic health kind of stuff, and just kind of like completely shunning Western medicine altogether. Like, I don't go to a doctor, I don't want to deal with any of that, I don't engage with any of that stuff. I've had that experience and it was horrendous and it nearly killed me. You can look at my other videos for that, but that's my personal view on it. I steer the hell away from it, and I'm very blessed and lucky because I don't have anything wrong with me and blah blah blah, so I can do that, but that's my choice. So what's great about this book is that it really challenges that belief in terms of like, yes, Western medicine is not like a healthcare system, it's an illness care system, but there's also a load of great strengths in the Western healthcare system, but there's also beautiful historical transformational transcendental wisdom held in Eastern philosophy, Eastern medicine, and generally holistic health and wellness. And so if both of these systems and structures recognize that they don't have the answers independently, maybe we can mix the two together and have the best of both worlds. And it kind of explores this theory in more detail. And the two authors, because it's got two different authors, two co-authors, talk about their lived experience of that and how they really found the benefit of like acupuncture and herbal remedies, and then also why they needed like Western medicine to come into that. And so I've really found it to be a beautiful book so far. And again, I'm only about probably not even halfway through this because I kept skipping ahead and opening on random pages, but they have this really great section about figuring out what your kind of element is that how they described it, like your affinity, sorry, what your affinity is as a woman, whether you're kind of like wood or metal or water, or there's lots of different like affinities, and then how that might show up in your life if you're in excess or if you're imbalanced. So it's really similar to like Ayurveda in terms of like the doshas and that kind of thing. If you don't know about that, look it up. There's loads of great quizzes and like silly quizzes, but I find that very interesting in terms of like what your majority kind of dosha type is, and this is very similar in that sense, but it kind of talks about how these imbalances might show up in your life and what might be going on. And that's particularly pertinent for me because I've been getting a really bad back on and off for the past few months despite doing shitloads of yoga, and so I'm really interested in this. And so it's really challenging my approach and forcing me to really kind of like live that and practice what I preach, and not just like, you know, be like, okay, let it run its course, but kind of get underneath what is this emotional thing that I might be holding on to. Maybe there's something that I could do that is kind of causing that and leading to that. And so that's a really interesting book for me in this moment. It also has really beautiful poetry in it and lovely kind of like excerpts, even of things like the Bible. It's not religious, but even things like that. And it talks about the Tao Te Ching, I think it's called, Lao Tzu, who is another, you know, incredible spiritual leader, and Wayne Dyer and people like that talk about him. So yeah, so it's really cool, really awesome, and I would recommend this book. So that's In the House of the Moon. So before I bring in any more books, because I'm just looking behind me and now I'm desperate to talk about all the other books as well that I've been reading recently, and that's been one of the great benefits of the yoga course, is actually kind of like given me lots of new exciting books to read and lots of new information to share, which I cannot wait to share with you and kind of try and impart some of that semi-wisdom. I mean, I still don't know what I'm doing, obviously, but try to like share that journey with you. So I'll do a separate video about books, but yeah, those are the two that I'm reading right now. And yeah, I will be talking to you more regularly, and I hope you're doing well. How are you? I hope you're okay. And I'm excited that we're getting into summer. It's a really lovely time, and yeah, I guess I will do the next video very soon.